Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the West Suffolk series, 103 parishes set in some of the most beautiful English countryside, and there's some good ones in this area. Shall we go have a look? Of course. Welcome back to West Suffolk again, folks, for round 6. Now, this is the smallest one that I've got planned to do today. And you can probably tell from looking behind me that this one ain't really got a lot. Look at this. It's just like a barren road on either side, isn't it? Well, I'm pretty sure there are some landmarks on this that we can have a little bit of a talk about. I better get out of the way of this car. Welcome to the parish of Higham. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like, and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Higham, High Enclosure. This week in West Suffolk, we're in Higham, a peaceful rural estate village located just to the east of Newmarket, close to the A14. Its northern boundary is coincidental with the Icknield Way, and it's crossed by the Ipswich to Ely railway line, upon which Higham used to have a station. The village is split into 3 distinct mini-settlements, namely Lower Green, Middle Green and Upper Green, and bang in the middle of them all is St Stephen's Church, the work of Sir George Gilbert Scott. The major part of the parish and its buildings are the property of the Higham Estate, acquired by the Barclay family in the early 19th century. Before they arrived, Higham was associated with Denham and the Dukes of Gloucester. The local population was few and dispersed, engaged mainly in agriculture and dairy farming with some horse breeding and poultry thrown in. The Barclay family would change that somewhat, engaging in a programme of welfare and social improvement. Much of the population soon found themselves employed directly or indirectly by the Higham Estate, who built cottages for them at Middle Green and Lower Green. They also built not just 1 but 3 schools. So let's have a look at what it's like today. Spoiler alert though, folks, it's a pretty one. Let's go. Despite being one of the smallest villages we've hit so far in West Suffolk, transportation has always been important to this place. Higham was once on a turnpike road, the one that connected Newmarket to Bury St Edmunds. This building, just south of the modern A14, was the toll house, one of the parish's listed buildings. Passing under the road just south of it is the Ipswich to Ely railway line, still very much an active route connecting the 2 major UK settlements. Higham once had a railway station on this line which closed in the 1960s. It was unique because it had an exceptionally large goods shed which dealt with heavy agricultural traffic in the early 20th century until it was withdrawn in 1964. In September 2016, the goods shed caught fire and was demolished the next day due to the risk of the building collapsing onto the line. The station also dealt with traffic from Brooms Barn Experimental Station, part of the Institute of Arable Crops Research. This is just outside the parish boundary, but it's considered to be within Higham village. We begin on what is an unnamed road at this point between the settlements of Lower Green and Middle Green. That there is the old parsonage, right next to St Stephen's Church. This is the 19th century work of celebrated architect Sir George Gilbert Scott. This is his only complete church in Suffolk, and it's believed to be the only one he ever built with a round tower. I was wondering how long it would be before we encountered one of them out here. There are 38 in the county. This tower has echoes of a Norman one a few miles away at Little Saxham. The church is the very reason why Higham exists as a civil parish today. It all goes back to the mid-19th century when it was originally part of Gaisley, and it's historically been all about farming. Even though it's tiny and surrounded by lush green countryside, in the 1850s the Industrial Revolution was increasing the size of the village. This gave the Church of England cause for concern because nonconformism followed the movement. So in 1861 a separate parish was created and Scott was commissioned to do the church. After a gentle amble north we come to Lower Green. Here's the War Memorial, a granite obelisk occupying the green itself. There are 17 names on it from both World Wars. Lower Green is a collection of farmhouses on two roads. One is Higham Road, which leads to Gaisley, whilst the other is a dead end called Page's Lane. In the early morning sunshine, this area looked magnificent. There's a reason why people love the Suffolk countryside. It's peaceful and beautiful, with fabulous isolated farm buildings. It's the stuff of rural dreams. Higham has a total of 6 listed buildings. With the exception of the old parsonage and the Church of St Stephen, they're all within Lower Green. One of them is this 17th century thatch barn located at Lodge Farmhouse. According to its listing, it was once larger, but it was truncated at some point in the 20th century. Thatch buildings always make a place look countrified. The gorgeous roof of South Farm certainly helped prove that point. Although it's a dead end for vehicles, Page's Lane becomes a footpath and heads off into the Suffolk countryside. That's where we're going. I'll tell you something, the Suffolk countryside ain't half beautiful when the sun's on it. You couldn't really appreciate it, could you, in those first few episodes of this West Suffolk series because of the rain and the wind, but now it's sort of calmed down a bit and the sun's come up on this second day. It's absolutely fantastic and I love it. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. So peaceful and so quiet. Look at this for a house, by the way. Another thatch building. So what we're doing here is we are following a footpath. Page's Lane has turned into a footpath, and what this does is it goes around the back of the village effectively and comes out in a little hamlet called Upper Green. When we reach Upper Green, we're then heading back towards the church where we started, so it makes a nice little loop. You wouldn't know, would you, that there are 3 settlements in this place. It's quite amazing. I suspect at one time Higham was a much bigger place. Where the path jinks to the left is a massive patch of earthworks. The thatched cottage we've just passed has a well in its grounds too. This next part of the walk was simply stunning. Check out this view. This is looking towards Gaisley, and all you can see for miles is lush green countryside with rolling hills and open fields. I was thankful the awful weather from the day before had subsided. Even so, the rain had left its mark. I had to trudge my way through this muddy paddock to reach Upper Green. So this is Upper Green, which isn't too dissimilar to Lower Green, but here there are much bigger and grander houses. Upper Green might be familiar to you if you're a cyclist. It's on Sustrans Route 51, which connects Colchester to Huntingdon via Felixstowe. Next we have Hall Farm, and the old hall is next door. This should not be confused with Higham Hall. That's in the other Higham near Ipswich. Rounding off Upper Green is the 3-storey Mill Farm. Covering almost 4,000 square feet, this is the most expensive property in the village at well over £2 million. An old school, one of 3 which Higham has had to its name, is next as we hit Middle Green, the centre of Hiham's population and the location of several interesting buildings. As we mentioned earlier, much like elsewhere in Suffolk, non-conformity was strong here, and a Baptist chapel was built in 1836. It was rebuilt in 1879, and here it stands today. A gospel hall was also built in 1908. Like the school, the vast majority of the older houses here are 19th century, constructed by the Barclay family, quaint little cottages for their estate workers. Middle Green isn't all that big. You can be through it in less than 5 minutes. At the northern end of civilization is a parish notice board and a phone box. This area is also the location of the former post office and village shop, which is now closed. Higham also has no pub, but it used to. It was located in Upper Green and it was called the Lamb Inn. These facilities may be gone now, but the locals still refer to the picturesque pool at this end of the village as the Post Office Pond. There exists the potential to make this into a focal point within the village. Okay, and we're almost back to the church where we began. It just goes to show, doesn't it, that a place such like as Higham, which is very, very small out here in the Suffolk countryside, can be just as interesting as going to a big town or a big city, like for example Bury St Edmunds or Ipswich or Felixstowe or Mildenhall or Newmarket. You know what? I've got enough out of this village to last me a lifetime. And after driving through Middle Green, it was off to the neighbouring village. In total, it took me an hour from start to finish here, one of the most enjoyable so far on this trip. Next up in West Suffolk, we'll be exploring the place that was once Hiham's parent parish. I wonder if it was going to be as good as this was. See you there. Thanks for watching this video, folks. Don't forget to like this episode if you haven't already. It really makes a difference with YouTube. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and give us a share too if you've got friends who'd like it. You can find all the links to my social media accounts below, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can donate to the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, have a look at some more videos in this series. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.